like this. A lot of guys are saying, maybe I should just cut it out. Well, I want you to think about where you're going to seam it. You're going to seam it here, you're going to seam it there. It's going to be difficult to seam that quarter, and you're going to spend just as much time seaming it as you did just going ahead and fixing it. So let's look at some of the detail here. We have all these things are missing. Okay, so you know, if you buy one of those Clocker Home ones, a lot of these weld-in pieces here, like what's on there, are not in there very good, and sometimes they fall out anyway. So you go and do all this work on your quarter panel, and it's, you know, and welding one in and trying to get it right, and the stuff's that you got, it's not very good. You see this is bent up along this edge too. These are not really big deal. Okay, these are like, this is like every VW has quarter panel issues in the front, because they always got hit, they always bumped into something, the fender caught something, because you forget how wide the car is, and it just dimples this part in and crunches the fender. Even if it didn't crunch the fender, this one's had a little bit of a front end wreck. It's really not that bad at all. It won't take much to straighten that. And so, you know, the hardest parts of these kind of kinks here. But we're going to mainly talk about this quarter, because I have another video to do the front end if you have that issue. And basically the tool to use is, I'm going to use a dead blow hammer because I don't like the noise of the regular hammer, and a chisel. And the object is, on the inside, is to follow the line that goes along the top of the fender where it used to be, and usually you can see it from the inside, with a chisel, and hammer it back out, and then the rest of it usually just follows right along with it. Let's take a look. And then as far as putting these in, they sell these things at Wolfsburg West, and I'll show you an example. I have a bunch of them. It's just so common that you have to do these all the time. So usually what happens is, when you're working this area with the chisel, you create a ridge right here, and so it's weird. It doesn't always push itself right back in. You end up with like a ridge around it. So what you have to do is tap that ridge down with your body hammer. Let me show you that real quick. So you'll just get right in here. You create that ridge. You're just gonna work that thing back down. And you can see the shape is generally coming out more the way it's supposed to. Now the trick is, when you get down to the bottom down here, then you're going to need a paintless dent removal tool, and I'll show you what that looks like. So this here is a paintless dent removal tool. It's really long, narrow, gets down into the hole. I'm just going to drop this guy in here. Probably should have the hood off, and then what you do is get it into a position and twist it. You can kind of see where it's going, and just kind of work your way. Start at the top, kind of work your way down the quarter, straighten that thing out. I've even done this before with a crowbar, so if you don't have one of these, I've used a long crowbar. Sometimes they work better, but I'm going to need two hands to do this, so I won't be able to show you exactly on video. Alright, so we're going to have Chris hold the camera while I do this here, and I'm going to see if we can get this thing done. You can see down there, if you can see the metal moving when you're pushing out. Here's my thing. Trying to find the right spot. And then find your ridge. Tap it while you've got it pushed out at the same time. This has some Bondo on it, so once I get it pushed out a little bit, I'm going to straighten it, grind that Bondo off. You can get right here. It's right here. This way. most of them aren't usually quite this bad, but this is definitely not worth taking off. What I would do if I can't get in here, I'm hammering the ridges, pushing out the drum. Push out the low part, hammer down on the ridge at the same time. This is all high right here. You can see this part right here. It's a little bit high. I'm going to need to get the grinder out so I can see what else needs to be done. But you can see it's almost there now, so it's like, why would I replace that? I can spend 45 minutes and have this thing perfectly straight again. And it would take me 2 or 3 hours to graft in a panel. So I ground some of the Bondo off that was on here, which I didn't do right anyway. And I'm just going to knock out some of these spots. I hammered the ridge a little bit too low. I just know by looking at it most of the time I can. And see, since I've hammered that ridge, it's wanting to, the memory of the metal is wanting to go back to where it's supposed to be. Now I can see my low spots, because once you grind on it, it kind of gives you, you can see that this is really low right here. I may need to get my spot welder out and work on this here with that, because not getting very good leverage to use the Paintless Dent Removal tool, but I'm not going to give up on it yet. Let me show you guys the other things that you can do to fix those weld-in holes. Did it get butchered up too bad? Well, let's take a look here. So what I use on these is they have two different styles. And originally these were welded in from the inside, but unless you guys are having too much fun, they usually work in all the holes. They have the two different styles. They have this style, and they have the one that looks just like this. Now, if you're looking for a show car, you're going to want to get the exact one and weld it in and try to make it so you can't see it. But I absolutely don't do that. I'll put it on the outside like this and weld it, and then I'll knock it in low, and it looks alright from the inside of the car. It doesn't look too bad. You know, nobody is looking for a show car here, so that's how I'll do them from the outside, just like that. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of trouble with your fender beating going on, but you can just knock it down low and it usually does the job just fine. So this being, see, I need to bring out this very edge right here, and there's no way to reach in there, so I might have to grind this down on a separate video and go ahead and use my spot welder, put a bunch of pins on there, and then pull it right on the corner where, because the line, you can actually draw it on there if you have a pencil. Let me see if I got one. Yeah, so you can just use a pencil like this and just kind of just mark it. It's hard to do because but you know right in here somewhere that it's about just this far away from here. If you look at right here where it is, you can look at the other side of the car, how far away it is from that. And you just want to make your ridge right along there. Draw it in. That way you can kind of see where you're going. I'm a little bit too far away right here. You can kind of see where you're going with it. Makes it a little bit easier. And then use your Paintless Dent Removal tool. Do as much as you can with that. And then the rest of it, or your crowbar, the rest of it you get with iron brow. I'm going to go grab my crowbar and give that a shot, because I remember using those and hammering it down in there and getting this edge out pretty good with just that. Alright, so what I ended up using was this guy here. I I used to have an old crowbar back in the old days when I did bugs all the time, and that thing worked great. Just a regular crowbar, really long one, old thing. It was probably my dad's crowbar. I don't know. It was really old, but you can get right down in there. See that metal moving? You need two hands though. You need to push it out on the low, push out on the low, and hammer down the high. So right here, right now, this is a little high, okay? This is low. So what I do is hammer a little bit right here while I'm pushing out on the low, and then just work your way down, get all the way to the corner. I've gotten all the way down there. Just hammer this thing down in there, and you can get right to the bottom. I mean, to the very, very bottom. Sometimes I end up with a little spot right here that I can't get to, and I'll use my spot welder to pull that out. Or if you don't have one of those, you can always use a, drill a hole, pop it out, weld it back up. It's really not that much there to do, so it's not going to be that much of that you're going to do. I don't like to use those, but sometimes there's just no other way. So then I'll hammer this guy down really nice. I might show you guys a video of this when I'm all done. I'm not going to be able to do this all in one video, so because I got too many pauses here, and it's really going to take me almost an hour to fix this panel. But really, think about it, in an hour versus, 4 hours to do the replacement. I think I'd rather spend an hour and just hammer it out. I could get this almost metal finish, but I'm not gonna. I'll just get it pretty close, and I'll just go ahead and use some plastic filler and move on, because there's more important things in life than having something completely metal finished. Alright, so I'll see you in the next video.